The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey guys, it is our very special Christmas special. Oh, it's called Chrismysteries. Sorry, I was channeling, you know how like they have like Christmas specials on TV? Like what's that girl's name with the really straight hair? Casey Musgraves.
Oh.
I almost said Muskrat because you called her Casey Muskrat.
I always call her Casey Muskrat. Also, that really narrows it down. Also, mine isn't really much of a mystery.
That's so fine because last year, I don't think either of ours were mysteries. Or maybe it was like a half a mystery. But hey, it's Chrismysteries.
And it's Christmas.
Yes, it's Christmas. Merry ho
ho day.
Yes, Sarah and I are sitting here. She's got her coffee. We're by the fireplace. I don't have a fireplace, but I just like to pretend my neighbors do.
Imagine it. You know?
We have a nice cheese platter. I ran out of crackers. I should have replenished the crackers before we started this. Who's running this?
We're supposed to munch
studio?
in the microphone.
That's true. Careful with the white cheese. It's a little spicy.
It's spicy.
Wow, that's like the most Caucasian thing I've ever said.
Careful about the white cheese. It's spicy. We got some a HelloFresh meal that we're gonna make later.
It's just our little simply having a wonderful
Christmas
time, baby. Did you bake any Christmas cookies yet this year?
No.
Hold on, I might have to unplug that mini fridge because I think I can hear it in my headphones. All right, you guys, hold on. I'll be right back. I'm gonna edit it out, so it's gonna literally be no time for you. I don't know why I'm still explaining it. Hold, please. I'm going to be editing this and being like, shit, I never plugged that back in. Oh my God, everything fell.
Yeah, everything's not good.
Everything's great because it's Christmas.
I have 2 weeks off and I don't go back to work until January 6th and it's paid.
I love that. Yes, PTO. Oh, I have to tell you something off mic.
Oh.
Good news.
Okay.
What was I saying? Oh, what were you saying before? Christmas cookies. Have you baked?
No, I have not.
Are you going to?
Probably not.
I love baking Christmas cookies.
I was supposed to do a cheese board for my family's party, but
Oh, you should get the spicy cheese. You seem to be liking the spicy cheese.
I love the spicy cheese.
You're going to prank the whole family and everybody's going to be shooting fire out of their asshole.
I'm not going to bring anything.
Oh, no. You should bring you could do like the world's cheapest cheese board and bring Kraft singles.
I love that. Here you go. With
on
some
a cutting board.
slices.
Like not even like a nice bamboo cutting board, just like a plastic cutting board. Is it wrong to serve on that? Because I may have done that before.
No, fuck no. We have his 1992
Carson Christmas plate.
Family Christmas plate.
Yeah. That you use with your hair straightener.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah, I
I'm
love
just
that.
all about the Carson family. You could beep that out, I guess. We don't want people to know your last name.
I'm very well known on the internet.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, honey.
People don't even know my real name.
People think your name's actually Sarah with a C.
No, they actually think that it's like Triceratops or something.
I love that. You watch a lot of Christmas movies. What have you been watching?
Oh my God, so they have a lot of good ones on right now.
On TV?
I'm missing them. Yeah. Santa Claus is coming to town, like the clay ones.
Oh, the claymation.
They're my favorite. So
I love Rudolph.
Right.
Sexy little Rudy. Little Rudy Tootie.
And then the Heat Miser and the other one.
I'm sorry?
The Heat Miser.
The fuck is that?
It's from the movie. Look. You don't know him, remember?
Oh, yeah. He looks like a clown.
He's in it, too. Yeah.
He's fun. I didn't know what his name was. Do you remember the little misfit toys? The little...
Yeah.
Okay, so for Christmas one year, all I wanted was a little stuffed... elephant, like the elephant with the polka dots.
I love that.
And my parents went everywhere.
And this made it impossible.
This was like before like eBay even.
Mm-hmm.
And they fucking found me one and it's hanging on our Christmas tree and it is every year. It's like a little stuffed animal I used to sleep with every night. And then it got all weird and smelly. So my parents are like, maybe just like a Christmas ornament because it has a little hook on it so you can hang it. It's cute. Oh, the good old days.
No place like
and now all I want for Christmas is nice skin. Santa, can we fucking make that happen?
Your skin does look really great.
Thank you. I've been drinking a lot of alcohol.
Oh, as you should.
Cleansing from the inside out. I think that's how it works.
Cleansing out of my pores.
Right. I really want a derma roller, like a microderma roller.
Yeah, like one of those jade ones.
No, that would be nice too, but I'm talking about the ones with the micro needling. Oh. I know it's really dangerous if you use the machines. People are using them at home. Hey, listener, don't fucking do it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, the
like
roller
and it's like a needle.
But you can't get a cheap one because you can get infected and shit. I've done my research, but like I really am interested in like trying it. I need that collagen, baby. Need that stem cell.
Link us, okay?
Lincoln Park.
Oh, I love that for you.
Thank you.
What is your holiday tradition? Do you have any?
Oh, get slutty and drunk on Christmas Eve.
I love that for you.
Christmas Eve, at least in my family, I think is more fun than Christmas.
Yeah, same.
Christmas Day.
We don't really do a lot on Christmas. It's like me, my mom, and my brother.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's my family and Mark's family, and then like grandparents.
Yeah. And
we play games. We're a big game family.
Oh, I love that.
We take trivia very, very seriously in this house. And then Christmas Day, we just we always have monkey bread in the morning, and then we kind of just hang out.
Yeah.
And then we go hang out again with Mark and his family, and we just eat and drink through our hangover because it's Christmas morning. I'm not gonna lie, is rough. Thanksgiving morning is usually rough as well.
You're not wrong.
And then you just eat everything away.
My Thanksgiving morning was rough.
Your Thanksgiving was rough.
My Christmas will be too.
Oh yeah, that's. Oh boy.
Don't worry, I bought a super cute outfit.
Okay, cool, and a taser and a stun gun. I fucking can't. Back to movies. Disney Plus has got the ultimate Christmas present, bitch.
What?
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it. So me and Na, because we don't spend holidays together because I live far away and she works retail, we're gonna have like our little fake Christmas Eve tomorrow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and we're gonna like do gifts and cook dinner.
Cute.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And we're gonna watch all the movies.
I love that. That's what we're gonna do today. We should watch Ultimate Christmas Present today.
Let's do it.
I watched it last night, but I was very drunk.
Oh no, let's do it again.
I was like, really
let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it. That'd be so fun. Hi guys. This is Esoteric Oddities.
We're just like sitting here hanging out with each other. Like this is literally what we do.
Yeah. Oh god. This is Esoteric Oddities. I'm Jonathan.
I'm Sarah.
And we are your slutty little host.
Host.
That was good. Jonathan, write that down.
Woo! Make that a TM.
To trademark that shit.
Woo!
Register. Copyright. Patent Oswald. He's a great guy.
What's that?
Patton Oswalt, he's an actor.
That little kid show, something Oswald.
Oswald.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. Hold on.
Was he a duck? That sounds like a duck name.
No, it was like a
Lee Harvey. Oh, the octopus.
Yeah.
Yes, I didn't watch it. I was too old for it. Yeah, I was too old for that. And you're older than me, so I don't quite know what you were doing watching that show. But no judgments. It's fine. I still watch Sailor Moon.
I had a baby cousin at the time.
Oh, I'm sure you did. Did you?
Right.
Fuck all the way off. Oh my god. Okay, but Christmas songs. But you guys, we're gonna jump into the Chrismysteries. We've got true crime. We've got murder. We've got questionable things.
Christmas traditions
but we have
first.
Yes, we need to fucking talk about this. Like I need to know what is.
Okay, so
I love how we're talking about this, but like I already know what you're listening to Christmas wise. But give it to me.
All right, my two favorite Christmas songs are "Simply Having a Wonderful Christmas Time."
My dad right now is rolling in his grave. He's not dead, but that comment might kill him because he hates that song. And he's listening right now. I love you, Dad.
And then the other one is what the fuck is it? Christmas rapping, I think. No.
Oh yeah. The rapping song.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Okay. yeah. Okay. I know that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's my favorite one.
I love the Santa Tell Me. I can't.
Santa, tell me.
I'm sorry.
If you really care.
And y'all, if you want to watch the music video, Sarah and I were in.
Yes.
A couple years ago, we were in a little music video for I'll post it somewhere. Oh shit.
Okay,
sorry. My mic is falling apart. Everything's okay. Merry Christmas.
What's your favorite Christmas present that you've ever gotten?
I don't know if this is my favorite or if it's because it's so memorable, but
yeah.
Because I feel like I got a lot of good things. Mm-hmm. And the older I get, the more I look back and I appreciate it even more.
Yeah,
as like corny as that sounds, it's like the older I get, I literally don't care about getting shit. I really don't.
I'm like, wow, my mom gave me everything I wanted.
Right. Yeah. And I literally think back and I'm like, wow, like my parents really made the holidays specifically like
so
super special.
Yeah.
But I remember my mom got me Polly Pocket.
I love that.
Because we have the home video of me opening it, and I think I've already talked about this on here, where I was like, I always wanted girl stuff, and my mom knew, and she's super sweet and supportive.
She is. Oh my
God, bought me a little tea set
for her. Barb is an amazing woman.
Yeah, she is.
My favorite was probably.
Oh no, I didn't ask. It's funny. I didn't care.
Sorry.
So
okay.
More questions from me? I'm just kidding.
Okay.
What was it?
10.
No, what were you gonna say?
Anywho, who's that? I don't know. Did anyone hear anybody talking? I got this like huge Barbie dream house one year.
Oh, we did. Did we not just talk about this?
Yes,
on Patreon maybe.
I think so. And then another year, I got like this tea set, but it was like set up for me already when I came downstairs.
Oh,
it was really cute. Yeah.
Did your mom let you drink tea? My mom wouldn't because it was too hot.
Yeah.
So I used
too hot in me.
Lukewarm tap water at my tea parties.
I love that for you. Drink it.
Oh, Christ almighty.
And I love going to see Christmas lights.
Oh my God, I love it.
Thing.
We haven't been
There's one in New Jersey. It's like 30 minutes away.
We haven't been out in a while. I don't know if Mark is pranking me or not, but I keep finding fucking junior mints everywhere. That is the 5th one I found strategically hidden today. Is that not hidden? That's placed there.
Yeah.
And I keep finding them.
That. Do you think he's doing it?
I think he is.
Mark,
he's fucking
if you're
with
listening
me.
to this, stop.
Knock it off. Or the fucking Christmas gremlin is going to come and eat your toes.
Krampus, okay?
Krampus is going to give you a fucking cramp in your foot. Oh, Christ almighty. So we have got some Chrismysteries. If you're tuning in for the first year, this is our 3rd annual Chrismysteries. We've done, which means we have done it, in fact, 2 years prior. So I don't know what episodes those are, but they're literally just titled Chrismysteries. I think it's just Chrismysteries and then Chrismysteries 2. And this should be Chrismysteries 3.
This is 3, y'all.
Oh, who was that?
This is 3, y'all.
Miley Cyrus. Was that you?
Okay.
So these are just mysterious things, maybe not so mysterious things, because it's hard to find all these things that happen on Christmas.
You're not wrong.
That happened either on Christmas, around Christmas. It's our podcast. We're going to do what we want. However, I think the one case we can agree that we won't cover that is probably one of the biggest mysteries, not just on Christmas, but of all time, would be John Benet Ramsey.
Yeah.
You already know I love that case.
That's the typical one that everyone I feel like does.
Right. And I think it's been overdone, and I don't want to add any more fuel to the fire. I already did a fucking video on it years ago. And I've had my fix of that. And I feel like the more people talk about it, the more she's looked at as like this object of mystery rather than like
an actual
a little
victim.
child who died. So now that we talked about dead children, I'm going to go ahead and jump in because I have 2 stories. My first story is kind of short, and then my other one is a little bit longer, and I feel weird not knowing about it. And I feel like I've said that multiple times about multiple different cases, and I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this case, but that'll be my second story. So are you ready for my first one?
I'm ready.
Okay, so my first story is the Annandale Christmas Tree Jane Doe.
Wow.
So most of my sources that I got my information from was doenetwork.org, Washington Post, as well as truecrimesociety.com. I'm like out of breath.
Hello, are we okay?
Is this what getting older is like?
Yeah.
Spicy cheese and out of breath.
Yeah, and not being able to go, walk upstairs without feeling like you're going to pass out.
Oh my God, my ankles crack like goddamn matzo bread. Which brings me to say, if you don't celebrate Christmas, happy Hanukkah,
holidays.
Happy holidays, whatever you celebrate. I celebrate Christmas because, my family doesn't, well, I don't want to speak for everybody, but most of the people in my family, we don't do it from a religious aspect.
It's just like Christmas.
I think some people do, and that's totally fine, at least in my family. I was brought up Catholic. But I don't celebrate. For me, it's just like a time where, everybody finally has off work. Well, sometimes my cousin doesn't because he's a cop.
Oh, no.
But I think this year he works Christmas Day, but Christmas Eve he has off, which is cool because we don't really get to see him much. And it's just like that time where you just get to get wasted and have an excuse.
Okay, I love
and just
that.
like hang out with friends and family and just... Okay, sorry. All right, so, sidetrack. I'm off track. Let's reel it back. So... December 18th, 1996 was a cold morning in Annandale, Virginia. Just west of Annandale proper, a groundskeeper began his day at the Pleasant Valley Memorial Park Cemetery. Have you heard about this case?
No.
I don't know if you were because it popped up a couple years ago when I was doing this, and I was like, I don't want to do that. But it's slim pickings now. I don't want to make it. Oh, shit. It sounds really bad that I'm just like, I guess I'll do this case. That's not what. Okay. Jonathan, shut up. Edit that out. Okay. So here we are. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Poinsettias decorated the cemetery's entrance, and some new wreaths had been placed on some headstones by loved ones. Around 8:30 a.m., the groundskeeper walked towards the section called Babyland, which was a newer addition to the cemetery that was used to house graves of children.
Babyland?
Yes, I don't quite know if I would have named it that.
Yeah, what?
But that's what it was called, and it had like a little street sign looking thing so you knew it was like Babyland.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and brush past that. So once they got there, this one person, they found that a woman was lying on her back on top of a clear plastic sheet that had been laid out on the ground, kind of like a picnic blanket, and the woman was dead. The groundskeeper immediately called the police, and a few minutes later, Detective Mike Headley and Richard Perez arrived at the scene. So when they checked her body, they found that it was still warm, which indicated that she wasn't dead for long, and she couldn't have been dead for more than an hour or so. So a plastic bag had been secured tightly around her neck and secured with masking tape.
Yikes.
Next to her body was an 8-inch tall Christmas tree decorated with gold balls and red ribbons. Next to the tree was a deep green, it was like almost like a grayish looking colored backpack with a pair of bifocals with translucent frames.
I don't like that.
She was dressed in a medium-sized teal all-weather Eddie Bauer hooded jacket, a navy blue sweater, a red sweater, a red sleeveless silk shirt, navy blue knit wool pants, knee-high stockings, and black loafers. Due to the good condition of the outfits, it is assumed that her clothes may have come from an upscale store, presumably Nordstrom and or Saks Fifth Avenue. So I think one of the brands she was wearing was an exclusive Nordstrom brand, and it was priced a bit higher. So detectives removed the bag that was over her head to find that the Caucasian red-headed woman was wearing headphones that was connected to a portable cassette player. And inside the player was a tape of Mel Brooks and Carl Rainer's 2,000-year-old man comedy routine. She wore 2 clip-on earrings, a small gold woman's Guess watch with a mesh band, and a 14-karat gold ring with 4 jade stones, and a metal bead chain with a medic alert that said, no code, DNR, no penicillin. So DNR is like do not resuscitate. So essentially, if this person is found not unresponsive, they have already said do not resuscitate.
Oh, no.
So inside the backpack, detectives found a cassette tape of Jeff Foxworthy's stand-up special, which you may know, but you might be a redneck. I didn't know it was that old of a stand-up routine, but it was. So there was also another cassette tape of Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which I think is interesting because this woman has 3 tapes on her, and all of them are comedy routines, which is very...
Maybe she's a comedian.
Maybe. It totally is a juxtaposition to this situation. They also found an empty bottle of Peach Luza, an empty bottle of Mango Mystic. Do you remember Mystic?
Yeah.
An empty plastic flask, an empty clear plastic cup, a new roll of masking tape, and a child-size pink Minnie Mouse fanny pack, as well as 2 envelopes with 2 typed notes. So the notes read essentially the same thing. One envelope was addressed to the cemetery itself, and the other was addressed to the coroner. And inside it had the same typed note that said, deceased by own hand, prefer no autopsy, please order cremations with funds provided. Thank you, Jane Doe.
What?
And inside each of the envelopes was $50. So there was $100 altogether. So she paid, presumably, she paid the cemetery, and she also paid the morgue, or however, wherever the money was going to go. But, you know, it's kind of expensive to be cremated, so we don't know if this is the only money she had or what's up with the $50, but she's asking to be cremated, so it might
not
be...
the $50. What's up with the notes?
Right. And she signed it, this person signed it Jane Doe. And then there was another note, and it was a poem that investigators believe that she wrote herself. Again, this was typed and inside the book bag, and it said, "Now I lay me down to sleep, soon to drift to the eternal deep. And though I die and shall not wake, sleep sweeter will be than this life I forsake." So her autopsy proved that she was a white woman. She was 5 foot even and 157 pounds. Her age was placed between 50 to 70 years old. She had auburn or red hair. And her hair was noted as being almost a copper color, and it was curly. Her fingernails had recently been painted red. She also had an 8-inch scar on her abdomen, possibly from a C-section. Her death was ruled as suicide by suffocating. The autopsy also confirmed that she had drank brandy prior to her death, and her blood alcohol level was at 0.14, which is nearly twice the legal limit. Are you going to sneeze? You can let it out. Bless you. You were holding on to that like a secret. Oh, God. Okay. So she drank a lot before she died, and she had also taken Valium.
Oh.
So her DNA, dental analysis, and her fingerprints were taken, but matched nothing in the system. So detectives hit a wall in the case, trying to identify the woman who they believed committed suicide in the cemetery. So they looked into her belongings, hopefully thinking like, okay, we have all her shit. There has to be a clue here. So Mango Mystic was a popular American beverage. Not so much anymore. I'm pretty sure they still sell it, but it's like not so popular anymore. However, the peach Luza was not very popular in America at all. So Luza was a Belgium-based company founded in 1947, and it was not sold in the United States. So some people began assuming that the reason they were having such a hard time identifying this deceased woman was because she wasn't
from here.
Right. Yeah. Which could explain why there was a lack of identification and a struggle to identify her. It is possible, though, that she was well-traveled considering her clothes and her jewelry. It seems like she possibly had the monetary means to do so, but some people are just like, well, if she had the monetary means to do so, why did she only put $100? But then other people are like, well, yeah, she could have literally just poured all of her money into traveling and buying nice things, and then that's all she had left. Like,
true.
So it wasn't until 2 years after Jane Doe's death that Luza became part of PepsiCo. And they began being sold in America. So people are like, okay, well, maybe she found it in Belgium where she might be from and bought it there. Maybe she's from somewhere in Europe and she knew that it was a thing and purchased it.
Right.
So there was something else I had to say that I didn't note. There's another thing, and I'm briefly going to touch on it because there isn't much documentation on it. I saw one person speak about this and there's really no proof. So there were 3 letters that were allegedly found on the inside of her bifocals. They find out her bifocals are actually trifocals. Don't know what that is. And those 3 letters actually relate to a research center from Belgium that actually sells trifocals. So people are like, okay, this Belgium juice and these glasses, that's kind of all we have to go on.
Right.
However, there's not much to back this because through the files, I found pictures of the glasses, but you can't see if there's letters on them.
Right.
So literally anybody could have made this up. So I don't know if there's any validity there. I think it's people just it could be a clue.
Trying to put things together.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because this woman seems to have gone way out of her way to remain anonymous.
Right.
If she committed suicide. So then detectives are like, okay, well, one of these things in this backpack is not like the other, and it is the child-sized pink Minnie Mouse fanny pack. So it was pretty worn. I will post pictures on our social media. It was being held on by the grace of God with like a piece of masking tape and some safety pins. Investigators had to question whether it had something to do with the fact that she took her life near Babyland, where the child cemetery is. Also, they were like, okay, well, she also has an 8-inch C-section scar. That only furthered their question. They were like, maybe she had a kid and something went wrong with the kid and and it went downhill somewhere. However, medical professionals have noted that there is no way to look at this woman's scar and say, yes, that's a C-section scar. They said it looks very similar to it. So it's possible that it's a C-section scar. So she might have a child, but it also could have been an operation on her intestines. Nobody really knows. So then they tried doing some research on the children that were buried in the area. of that cemetery, but no one was really linked to a Jane Doe or a missing persons case at all. Her description, unfortunately, matched a list of hundreds of missing persons, but since dental records and fingerprints never matched, no conclusion was ever drawn. Despite decades of investigation, the Annandale Christmas tree Jane Doe has never been identified.
Wow. So, like, no one knows who this lady is. They don't know where she came from.
No.
She obviously, like, it was premeditated.
Right.
And no one could figure anything out.
Yeah. It seems like she did go way out of her way to make sure she was not identified.
Right.
And I think it's because I don't know. I got a lot of questions, but I think it's because she was so well kept that I have to question if she was from this country, because her dental records, she was between the ages of 50 and 70.
Oh, wow.
So her dental records, like, I don't know. Some people think she was a homeless person. Some people think that she had possibly been recently diagnosed with something and she just decided to take her life herself.
Right.
And had comedy in her ears.
That's so crazy.
Another thought that I have that not many people are talking about is a murder. Who knows? Because it could have been
framed her?
Staged, rather.
Oh,
yeah. It could have staged it to look like a suicide and been like signed everything Jane Doe. I don't know. There's really nothing to go off of anywhere there.
What is it? SVU?
Yeah, it is. And it's like there's a lot of stuff here, but it's just like
it doesn't
who was
point
this
to anywhere.
Nobody knows who she was.
That's so crazy.
It's really bizarre, but I will post pictures on social media. However, I'm not going to post like they did a digital like reconstruction of what they believe she would have looked like if she was alive. There is a post-mortem photo of her face. I'm not going to put it on our social media for obvious reasons. So if you want to go out of your way to see that,
go there.
Go to our website, esotericoddities.com. At the top, just click episodes and then scroll, or there's a little search bar. You can search Chrismysteries 3 and it should come up. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of all it is. It seems like I abruptly stopped, but I mean, that's kind of how the case was. And that was in 1996. And to this day, nobody knows who she was or what her story is.
Like, shed light on those things. So like those like hard things that no one thinks about. Like no one knows where this woman came from.
Right.
But it was obviously premeditated. Like she knew what she was doing there, but no one else does. It's just like the fanny pack is really eerie, and the fact that she was in Babyland.
Right. My assumption would be there's some correlation there.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe it's that she wasn't from here. Maybe she just kind of. Another thing that they were saying is people who just came into town wouldn't have known of this specific section in the graveyard because apparently it's kind of big.
Right.
So a lot of people are pinning that to like she could be from out of the country, but she had to have known the area.
Yeah, because
I don't know.
Yeah, she knew where to go.
Right, but also all it takes is I don't know. You'd ask one person and somebody tell you. I don't fucking know. I don't know. I can only shrug.
And it's so crazy that we'll never know.
Yeah, and it is really sad.
Mm-hmm.
It's really sad. She had a little Christmas tree set up.
Oh,
and
really
she
sad.
had that's where my head starts to go. Like maybe she lost a child, or maybe she lost a grandchild.
Christmas,
yeah, it could have been during Christmas. Yeah. So I just want to say before we move on to yours that if you are in the U.S., the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is 1-800-273-8255. I know this time of year is hard for a lot of people, so just know that there's help out there if you need it. I will list the other numbers for other countries because I don't know it off the top of my head. I should have researched that. I apologize, but yeah, there's help out there if you're feeling like that. So, your turn.
Thanks for sharing that information.
Welcome.
I think it's really important.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to jump into my story. This is the Covina Massacre.
Oh.
There's actually a show on it on Oxygen.
Oh, shit.
And I got most of my information from the Scare Chamber.
Oh, God.
So this is about Bruce Jeffrey Pardo. He grew up in San Fernando Valley in LA. He graduated from John H. Polytechnic High School and studied computer science at California State Northridge. People said that he was a bright man. He graduated and secured himself a job as a software engineer for jet Propulsional Laboratory. I probably said that wrong.
That's fine.
Bruce wasn't the best employee. He spent most of his time trying to hack the company's system to access private personal information, like compensation, tax information. He barely showed up at work. But despite all of that, by 1988, at the age of 24, he found himself engaged to Delilah, who is a former employee. So Bruce still lived with his mother at the time, and he wasn't in the best financial situation.
Heard
he had
that,
a lot
Brucey.
of debt.
Mm-hmm.
So Delilah agreed to pay for the wedding reception at the country club, and she also paid for the honeymoon in Tahiti. So, like, this man, he's not, like, already the best guy because he has no money and he doesn't seem like he has a lot to offer.
I resent that. I'm a broke bitch. I got a lot to offer. Look at these jubblies.
Yeah, but my thing is, then don't have the wedding now.
Right. And I also understand that he wasn't the best person before, so you're not drawing this out of thin fucking air.
So everything was ready to go. Both Delilah and Bruce's mother, they were excited. The big day came on June 17th, 1988. So Delilah waited at the church. She was really nervous, but Bruce never showed up.
Oh, no. He fucking Sex in the City that bitch.
Oh, well, just wait. Delilah found out that Bruce had withdrawn $3,000 from their joint bank account and took his trip. He took a trip on his own to Palm Springs, Florida. Delilah called off their engagement and...
Wait, I think Palm Springs is in California.
No, Palm Springs... There's a Palm Springs, Florida.
Oh, that is a pretty generic name, isn't it?
Like, it's very loose.
I'm very loose.
I love that for you. So, Delilah called off their engagement and things went back to how they used to be. It wasn't until 2001 that Bruce found
Wait, hold on. What do you mean things went back how they used to be? She was like, oh, I guess that happened.
Basically.
What?
I would have been like, I would track him down and beat him to death. Okay?
His penis would be in a jar.
No more. Okay? By 2001, Bruce found himself in another sticky situation. Okay?
Bruce, my dude.
So he's now living with his girlfriend Eleanor and their 13-month-old son Matthew in Woodland Hills, California. Remember, this is 2001. Everything's great.
The baby's not 13 months. The baby is 1 in 1 month.
Okay.
The baby's 1, hun. That's it. That's what it is.
1 in 1 month. So it was the most stable relationship Bruce has ever had. Things were going really well until the day
he fucked it up.
Eleanor went out and left Bruce home with the baby.
Oh no.
Bruce turned on the TV and he got sucked in. He wasn't paying careful attention to his child Matthew, and the boy fell into the backyard pool.
Oh.
When Eleanor returned home, she found Bruce holding their son. He was hysterically crying, and Matthew was rushed to the hospital. And after just 1 week of intense medical attention, Matthew had sustained brain damage, and he was now a paraplegic.
Mm.
So, he did survive, but Bruce left because he couldn't bear that he let the child almost drown and die. So, he left. He never tried to reach out to Eleanor or his son ever again.
Oh my God. Just leave that, right? Just leave any sort of your irresponsibility and unfortunate situation on somebody else.
Right, okay?
Okay.
So in 2004, a coworker of Bruce's introduced him to his sister-in-law, Sylvia. So it's his coworker's sister-in-law and Bruce.
Okay, gotcha.
Sylvia was, she was 40 years old. She was a mother of 3. And of course, you guessed it, they hit it off.
Oh, love that.
So we're now at January 29th. January 29, 2006, the couple got married. Bruce purchased a 3-bedroom home. It was $452,000 in Montrose. They were a happy family. They attended church together regularly. Bruce even volunteered as an usher. But things are not always what they seem with Brucey Bruce here.
Yeah. I wonder if he lied. Do you think he was like, I don't have a kid and an ex?
You sure? No, he didn't even mention it.
Oh.
But of course, like before, the relationship was struggling under financial stress, and then Bruce's mother, Nancy, decided she had to say something. She didn't really like Sylvia, and she knew her son had his troubles, but she also went on to tell Sylvia about his past relationships, including Eleanor and their son Matthew.
That she didn't know about?
Yes.
Oh, God.
So Sylvia was fucking shocked. She didn't know anything about Matthew, and she was really angry that Bruce was fucking lying and that he didn't like ever talk to his son ever again, that he was irresponsible.
Can you imagine that? And not knowing, and then you've been with this person for X amount of years, and they're
and then all of a sudden they have a child that you neglected.
His mom comes through and is just like, "Hey, I know my son's it was his mom, right?
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, the beans." Right. Also, why do people still like? Everybody's like, "Spill the tea," and I'm like, "Why can't we just spill the beans like we used to?"
Okay, it's the beans.
It's the beans.
It's always been the beans.
You fucking lesbian.
You're not wrong. And then. Sylvia found out that even though Bruce hadn't seen his son since the day he left the hospital, he was still claiming his son on fucking taxes.
Listen.
Okay.
Bruh.
So Sylvia filed for divorce in April 2008, and Bruce spiraled into depression.
Okay, let's sing his theme song. Ready?
Right.
Don't want no short dick man. Don't want no short dick man. What the fuck you gonna do with that little thing?
Okay, don't want no short dick man.
Okay, fucking A. I hope we don't get a copyright claim because that sounded just fucking like it.
You're not wrong.
That might get flagged.
Bruce, he's fucking up. So in June, he purchases his first gun. It was a 9mm handgun.
Oh.
On June 18th, in the divorce court, he was ordered to pay $1,785 per month.
Okay.
To support Sylvia. He wrote his first check, which bounced, and then he stopped payment on the second one, making no further attempts to pay her.
So what happens? I mean, I know you don't know the answer to that, but I'm curious, like, what the fuck happens then?
You can, like, get thrown in jail.
Yeah, I wonder if they, like, will liquidate your house.
Okay, probably. They'll probably take anything that they can get. So on July 31st, he was fired from his job for billing fraudulent hours. Of course, he applied for unemployment, but was denied as workers who fired him
denied the claim.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you were fucking stealing company time.
Exactly. So on August 8th...
Hold on, here's another thing. Like, bruh, if you... oh, excuse me. That was a really dry cough.
Do you need water?
No, I'm just going to watch you sip that really wet water that looks like really satisfying in your mouth. Is it cold too? Oh, tell me about it. God. Anyway, if you have the job and you're putting in the fraudulent hours, why don't you just put in the fucking time because to right your wrongs? Yeah, just put in the time.
Bruce is all fucked up. He does the wrong thing every time and he does not learn.
Jesus Christ, Bruce.
On August 8th, Bruce purchased another 9mm handgun, followed by another purchase on September 8th. He then contacted one of his neighbors, Jerry, who happened to be the proprietor of Jerry's Costumes. Jerry's Costumes was like a costume store. Mm-hmm. He requested a custom-sized Santa suit with a little extra room for comfort. Bruce was 6'4" and 270 pounds.
He's not putting comfort in there, is he?
So making a standard suit was too small.
Oh no. Santa Claus.
He told Jerry it was for a child's party and paid a $200 deposit with the promise to pick up and pay the rest in November.
I'm pretty sure I know where this is going because I think I've heard of this case.
Then on October 11th, he purchased his fourth handgun. He received a call from an old high school friend. I thought this was funny. The high school friend's name is Steve Irwin. Who asked
That's
him...
not funny. That's sick.
I'm sorry.
He's dead.
Or her.
Bindi Irwin is such a... That
she's
whole
so
family
cute.
is just such... And she's engaged.
Yeah,
and
she's happy.
Look... For my friends who are engaged, I'm happy for you, but I felt something else when I saw that she was engaged. I was like, oh my God, she deserves it.
Okay, I feel that.
Okay, back to Steve Irwin.
So Steve Irwin asked Bruce to come over his house in Iowa to celebrate his 45th birthday. Bruce said yes, and while he was there, he basically confided in Steve and said he was embarrassed that his personal life was open and on display in court, where everyone could see his finances. And they knew he was fired. He was upset that he and his mother hardly spoke, and during the divorce proceeding, he chose to sit with Sylvia's family, not providing support to her son.
Look, here's the thing. You make choices in this life, and there are outcomes to your choices.
Of course your mom was going to sit with their family. You lied. You're a liar, and you keep fucking up your life over and over and over and over again.
I need that water. My throat is like the Sahara. No, I got mine.
Oh.
Okay.
So November came and Bruce went to Jerry's Costumes and paid the outstanding fee for his costume and even left a $20 tip. Now, mind you, Jerry is a woman.
Oh, you know what's weird? When you said Jerry, I saw it with a G, and I pictured, like, Jerry Spice.
I mean, that.
What is her? Ginger Spice.
Yeah.
Jerry Spice.
Jerry Spice.
If I was a Spice Girl, I'd be Flour, because I'm plain and I don't have a personality.
Wow,
but
Flour.
You need me to make all the baked goods. So, what would you be?
Oh, I thought you meant like a flower, like plants.
Oh no, I mean flour, like from the grain.
Okay, what's the question?
What Spice Girl would you be? You'd be like Spicy Spice. You'd be
I'd
Sriracha.
Like cinnamon sugar.
Would you?
Do you?
I don't know if
I
you
think
would be.
so.
Okay.
Or like garlic powder.
Yeah, or like... All right, Jerry's about to do something bad. I'm trying to divert this.
So on the 13th, he purchased yet another handgun, now totaling 5. He also got a DeWalt compressor, a 50-foot hose, and a tank of high-octane fuel just 1 week before Christmas on December 18th, 2008.
Oh my God, that's my thing happened on December 18th too. That's Mark's birthday.
Wow.
This sounds like there might be a fire involved.
Yeah, so Bruce's divorce with Sylvia was final, and he agreed to let her keep her diamond engagement ring and agreed to pay her $10,000. I don't know how he's agreeing to pay this when he didn't pay her the fees in the first place.
Right.
But that's where he's at. So
well, he probably didn't pay. He's probably not paying. He's probably saying, I'll pay. If he's
right.
agreeing, he's like, yeah, I'll get it to you. Not right now.
But not never.
Here's an IOU.
Yeah, literally. So the next day, he went to Montrose Travel Agency where he booked a ticket to Iowa where he would visit his friend Steve Irwin. He paid $650 for the round flight, and it was supposed to depart at 12:20 a.m. on Christmas Day and return 2 weeks later. He rented a Dodge Caliber from Budget, then he rented a silver RAV4 from Rent-A-Wreck.
I love that.
He loaded up the RAV4 with maps of the southwestern United States, as well as food, water, clothing, a tank of gas, a laptop, and a desktop computer.
Right.
Early on Christmas Eve, he stopped to chat with a neighbor, saying he was headed out to a Christmas party. He had been signed up to serve as an usher for midnight mass at the church he attended, but he didn't show up. Are y'all ready for this? Instead, at approximately 11:30 p.m., dressed in his Santa suit, Bruce knocked on the door of his former in-law's house, where he knew his ex-wife would be. The door was answered by 8-year-old Leticia. No. I don't know how to say that last name, but it was Sylvia's niece. She was excited to see Santa Claus, so she rushed toward him. Bruce didn't hesitate. He fired, hitting her in the face.
My fucking God.
He went on to shoot at the party guests. He felt, when he felt like he was done shooting, he unwrapped the gift he brought with him. It was a homemade flamethrower. He began to spray racing fuel all over the house, and he had every intention of lighting that bitch on fire, because he's fucking crazy. But, unfortunately for Bruce, the flames from 2 separate fireplaces triggered an explosion. So, Bruce tried to run. He dropped a pair of fake glasses and a Santa hat in the yard. He jumped into the Dodge Caliber, which is his rented car, and he drove 30 miles to Salmar. It was a parking lot about a block away from his brother's home. At this point, his skin was melting. He had 3rd degree burns, so he was peeling off this Santa suit. But he used his suit to set up a body trap in the car, so if the suit was moved, a tripwire would ignite a flash of fire, exploding 200 rounds of ammunition. This is in his fucking car. So Bruce's brother returned home around 3:10 a.m. and found him sprawled on the living room couch with 2 handguns by his side. He was dead, having shot himself in the mouth.
He was dead?
Mm-hmm. He shot himself. But let's go back to the house where he was fucking spraying people with bullets. The fire was about 40 to 50 feet and took 80 firefighters an hour and a half to extinguish the fire. 9 people were dead and 3 were wounded. Due to the intensity of the fire, victims can only be identified with dental and medical records.
My God. So that was pretty fucked up.
Yeah. So the people in the house were Sylvia Ortega Pardo. It was Bruce's ex-wife. She died from a gunshot wound. Alicia Ortega, which is Sylvia's mother, she died from a gunshot wound to the abdomen. Joseph Ortega, that's Sylvia's father, he died from multiple gunshot wounds. Charles Ortega, that's Sylvia's brother, he died from a combination of smoke,
inhalation.
Yeah, and gunshot wounds.
Oh my god, that's fucking awful.
Right. Sherilyn, Charles' wife, died from a combination of a smoke and gunshot wounds. James, which is Sylvia's brother, he died from the same thing. Tessa Ortiz died from the same thing. Alicia, that's Sylvia's sister, she died from gunshot wounds and smoke. And Alicia's son also died. But Sylvia's 8-year-old niece, who had been shot in the face, she suffered severe life-threatening injuries, but she lived.
Oh my god. That, like, is so traumatizing, but that makes me happy.
Yeah. So, that is the story of the Covina massacre, which is like, whoa.
I like have briefly heard of that. That is so fucked up. An 8-year-old to open the door to find Santa.
And then be shot in the face.
And then, I mean, I'm glad she lived, but like, fuck.
Right? That's so, it's bizarre.
That is so devastating. And I mean, like, I don't want to think about it, but the truth of the matter is if they died of smoke inhalation, they were literally bleeding out.
Yeah.
And still alive while burning alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus fuck.
It's so crazy.
And that was on Christmas Eve?
Yeah.
Or Christmas? Oh, Christmas Eve. So that was like waiting for Santa right before midnight.
Right.
Oh.
And they're just a family, like, celebrating. And this guy, because he can't get his fucking life together, decides to ruin it for everyone else.
Fucking murder them. Dude, that is so fucked up. That piece of shit.
It's so crazy. I read the story and I was like, what the fuck, actually?
I feel like I really don't have anything to say. I feel like what happened to them should have happened to him, but in a much slower way.
Right.
But he's a pussy-ass, dumb bitch.
You're not wrong.
I'm getting sweaty. I don't
Me
like
too.
That. That's so fucked up. Just a family on Christmas.
It's just crazy. This is why I, like, don't like to bring any new people in my life, because people are fucking crazy.
It's for real. Yikes. Jesus Christ. All right. So, I mean, I really don't have anything else to say. The dude's a fucking piece of shit and he's dead. All right. So, this is... I'm not laughing. I'm just laughing because I'm nervous and I don't know what to say to that because my mind is blown. Could you have picked up the pretzels any louder?
I was thinking that. Actually, I could have.
You could have. So this is the Fort Worth missing trio. So I'm going to try to keep it as like concise and not use the names where I don't need to use them because we're talking a trio and other people are involved. So if at any time you have a question or you're like, wait, who is that? Just let me know because listener, I just like for me reading it, I can put the pieces together. But if you have a question about who the fuck is who, let me know because it is very important. By 1974, 17-year-old Rachel Trillica and 14-year-old Renee Wilson had been friends for years. I know there's a bit of an age gap there, but their families had camped together and they went fishing together and they often they were like family friends, you know, the type. So they tended to hang out often, even though Rachel was 17 and Renee was 14. So at this time, Renee usually stayed with her grandmother while her mom was at work, and she formed a crush on the boy across the street named Terry. And those feelings seemed to be reciprocated. And on the morning of December 23rd, 1974, Terry, who was the same age as her, 14, had surprised Renee with a promise ring. He slipped the ring on her finger and vowed to love her forever. So that same day, Rachel wanted to go shopping, finish up some Christmas shopping. Rachel asked her sister if she wanted to go shopping. Her sister said no. She asked her mom if she wanted to go shopping. Mom said no. So Rachel went to pick up Renee, who was going to join her. And the girls asked Terry to join them, the guy across the street. And he said no, he had to go see a friend who was sick instead. So they're like, okay, that's fine. And that's when Terry's little 9-year-old sister, Julie, came outside and was like, hey, what you doing? And they were like, well, we're going to go Christmas shopping. And Terry's little sister, Julie, her name was Julie Ann, but they refer to her often as Julie, so I'm just going to... Julie. She was like, can I please go? Can I please go? I don't want to be home alone because Terry was leaving and their mom wasn't home. Although Renee knew Terry because her grandma lived across the street, Rachel didn't know Julie at all. She like kind of knew Terry, but didn't know little Julia at all. But they were kind of being polite in front of Terry. Rachel was like, yeah, fine. If the little girl wants to come with us, she can come with us.
Right.
We're literally just going to go shopping. But they were like, you have to get permission from your mom first. So she's like, okay, cool. She runs inside. Julie runs inside, calls her mom. And at the time, Julie's parents were separated and the holidays were causing a lot of stress. And when she called her mom, who was at work, she asked if she could go shopping. The mom was like, no, you cannot go shopping. You have no money. Just like stay at home with Terry. Julie was like, Terry's going out. I don't want to be home alone. So the mom was just like, okay, that's fine. Go. So Julie told the girls she had permission to go, hopped in the car. Renee told Terry that she would be back by 4 p.m., which would give her enough time to get ready for a Christmas party that night. It was a Christmas party, which Terry had asked her to join him in going. And remember, literally that day, he had given her the promise ring and they were going to a Christmas party together.
Oh,
they're
so
14.
they're happy.
Right. They're 14. They're happy. It's cute. So now the three girls drive off. They set out. It was just before noon and they stopped at the Army Navy store to get some layaways. And then they traveled to the Seminary South, which is now the Fort Worth Town Center, where they parked their Oldsmobile. It was
R.I.P. I feel like they don't make those anymore.
I know. On the upper level near Sears. So 4 p.m. rolled around and the three girls did not return home. The families got worried as the hours passed with no sign of them. So the concerned families then went to the shopping center in search for them. I believe it was Renee's mom had called the stores and been like, can you page over the intercom in the mall for these girls? Right. So they did that and nothing really came of it. They arrived at the mall at 6 p.m. to find Rachel's car was still parked in the Sears upper level parking lot. And it appeared that the girls had gone shopping and made it back to the car because there were Christmas gifts that they had purchased in the back of the locked car. So they were assuming that, you know, the girls could literally still just be in the mall shopping. The mall had extended hours because it was literally the day before Christmas Eve. So they just waited impatiently for the girls to return, but they didn't. So the police are involved now, and at first the police said that the girls were runaways.
Of course.
But the parents protested, especially considering the fact that Rachel's car, which was, you know, their only form of transportation, was left in the parking lot.
Right, so where are they running away to?
So then the following morning, Christmas Eve of 1974,
so sad.
a letter arrived in Rachel's husband's mailbox. So, yes, Rachel was 17, but she was married.
Yeah.
So, his name is Tommy. Tommy opens the mailbox to find one letter. There were no Christmas cards, no flyers, no bills, just one letter. And the letter read, quote, I know I'm going to catch it, but we just had to get away. We're going to Houston. See you in about a week. The car is in the Sears upper lot. Love, Rachel.
Nope, sketchy.
But there was something very off about this letter, okay? Again, I will be posting pictures. First off, it was addressed to Rachel's husband. His full name was on the front of it. Thomas A. Trillica. Rather than Tommy.
Right.
Right? Which is what she always called him. And the name Rachel was kind of drawn in the upper left-hand corner of the envelope. So there was no city name on the postmark, but there was a postal service number stamped. It was 76083. But the 3 appeared to be backwards and it was a little blurred. And this might not sound important, but it is, because if that 3 was supposed to be an 8, which is what some people think, other people think it's just smudged.
Right.
Like it's a 3 and it should be smudged. So if it was supposed to be an 8, then the last 2 digits of the stamp would have been from Eliasville, which was in one location. And if it was 76088, then it would have been from Weatherford. And especially in like a situation where you don't know what the fuck's going on, it's kind of like these 2 towns are in Texas but far away from each other. So it's like,
meant to do that.
So the letter was on a sheet of paper that was actually wider than the envelope. Everywhere I did research, they made a point to say this. To me, I don't know
like the importance.
I don't know, but I guess it's just like, hey, here's this other piece of information. And it was penned in childish like writing. So this is kind of hard for me to explain.
It's
Either childish or rushed. They said childish. I looked at it. I don't know how good. Well, this is the 70s, so this was in cursive, and I know they taught cursive back then. Yeah. But it seems like it just seemed rushed to me. I don't know if it was childish.
Maybe they rushed her to write it, or it was Angela.
Angela?
Who's it?
Julie?
Oh, fuck. Yes.
God damn
it. You knew who I
meant. So the L in Rachel's name looked like it kind of started as a short loop that looked like an extra E, which means that the person would have either been spelling Rachel or
Rachel
or R, which I believe the person, if this wasn't her, would have been spelling it Rachel.
Yeah, we got another Meal Spiegel on our hands.
Right, Meal Spiegel. I'm done. However, whoever wrote it went back over it to make it look like an L with an extra loop. So Tommy didn't believe this came from Rachel. And neither did Rachel's mother, Fran. From the jump, they were just like, this is sketchy, this is weird, this isn't from her, what the fuck? So police questioned the workers in the mall. Several of them remembered seeing the trio shopping specifically because Renee was wearing a t-shirt that said Sweet Honesty on it. So, I guess that was a point of like, people were like, oh yeah, I saw a girl wearing that shirt. Right. I just remember reading it. So one woman told, allegedly, so this is a store clerk who's talking to the police, and said, one woman came up to me and told me that they saw a man force them into a pickup truck. But the woman who told me this didn't identify herself. So then the police are like, oh shit, that's somewhere to go off of. So police make a public statement asking whoever the fuck came into the store and said this to please come forward with any information that the police really need to talk to this woman. Right. But the woman was never identified. So nobody ever came forward saying she saw someone force these girls into the truck. So the families continued their own personal search by distributing handbills and missing persons flyers. I didn't write handbills. What the fuck's a handbill? That was a copy and paste. Please check my sources. I have cited them all. So they were passing them out throughout the state. They were contacting newspapers, even across the country. So eventually tips began coming in and witnesses began to come forward. So early in 1975, one young man claimed to be one of Rachel's acquaintances. He stepped forward and he said he saw them in the record department of a store browsing through music just before they had disappeared. Apparently he and Rachel had saw each other and spoke briefly and then kind of wished each other a Merry Christmas and then went their separate ways. And at the time he didn't think anything weird of this. The man claimed that another person appeared to be with the girls or at least following them, but couldn't tell if it was just a man who was shopping in the record store or if he was like following them or what, or if he was friends with them. So around this time, some pieces of women's clothing were found in Justin, Texas, which was just 25 miles away from the mall where they had been, where they went missing. So the pieces of clothing were investigated, but were determined that they did not belong to any of the girls. So police, again, their investigation hit a wall. But they still insisted that the girls were runaways. They were like, look, we're going to keep looking into this anytime a piece comes up, but we've questioned everybody. We don't really have anything. We think they're runaways. Right, I know. But this
That's so frustrating.
I know. It's 1975, though. Okay, keep that in mind. So by spring of 1975, the families were so frustrated with the police investigation, so they hired a private investigator. Excuse me, what was that? Investigator. A private investigator named John Swime. So he called a press conference and he forced police to let him examine the files. And this made headlines. This stirred a big pot. Right. And people were just like, these cops seem to not be taking this seriously because
what's going on?
Right. People in the town, even though there were a lot of runaways, people in town were like, hey, this seems sketchy. It was just before Christmas. There was a 17-year-old, 14-year-old, and a 9-year-old. Where the fuck were they running off to? They left the car. I've got questions. You don't have answers. Why are you treating it like they ran away?
And the family knows that they don't know each other. Like the one they
Renee is like a loose tie to hold everybody together. So it's like, why would these three girls be like,
run
let's
away
all
together?
Run?
Yeah, what the fuck? And this 9-year-old, get out of here.
Okay, like you have room to talk. You packed your shit and you packed your little Miss Piggy bag and you went to the train station. You said, I'm running away and I'm never coming back.
In my fucking bag.
You tried to run away.
I sure did.
And your dad drove you there.
He did. He was like, go ahead.
We love a supportive dad. Okay, so in August of 1975, okay, keep that in mind that kind of made headlines when this private investigator in the 70s, 1975, he made police give him all the right, like he seemed to be stepping up. And that made headline. Keep that in mind because it might come. You might start thinking some things. So, in August of 1975, John discovered that there was a 28-year-old man who was making a string of obscene phone calls to the area. So, this man had worked for a store in South Fort Worth where Rachel had applied for a job just before Christmas. Again, Rachel, I'm going to be talking about her a lot. She's the 17-year-old.
Right. With the husband.
Yes, with the husband, Tommy. So she had applied for this job at this place where this 28-year-old man had been working. It was discovered that he was using his position in his job to obtain information from young women who had applied for the job at his store and their friends who were listed as references. So 6 women actually stepped forward and had applied for this job at the store, and they said they had been receiving obscene phone calls. So this man also once lived in the neighborhood of Rachel's parents, but moved away shortly before she married because Rachel had married Tommy and then lived in a house with him.
Yeah.
But this man, this 28-year-old man, had lived in that neighborhood. So the man was looked into, but nothing ever came of this suspect. So he doesn't have a name, but there was a real person out there who was a 28-year-old man who was making all these weird fucking phone calls. But again, I don't know how much the police really looked into him. This is the private investigator I'm talking about. So in April 1975, John, private investigator, received an anonymous tip that he should go to Port Lavaca? Sure.
That's it.
So he went there with 100 volunteers and they began searching under bridges in the area. The tip he received said that the girls had been killed and taken there. However, no trace of the girls were found there.
It sounds like they're trying to
possibly like point them in the wrong direction, send them on a wild goose hunt.
Yes.
So a year later, it was reported that 3 skeletons were found in a field outside of Alfred, Texas, by an oil drilling crew. John had the bones checked against x-rays and dental records of the girls, but it turned out that these bones did not belong to them, but did belong to a teenage boy between the age of 15 to 17 years old and 2 other females who were not identified as being the girls.
Oh.
So we are now in March of 1976. The girls went missing the day before Christmas Eve, 1974. So a psychic called one of the families and told them that the girls could be found near an oil well. And they were like, bro, like we literally just checked there and it wasn't them.
Right.
And for some reason, searchers, I don't know what other tips they got from this psychic, but searchers began focusing on a small community of Rising Star. And I guess the psychic told them to look at an oil well there, but nothing was ever found. So private investigator, this John dude, and the girls' families followed every single lead that they could. Searchers combed through the Texas brush and hundreds of back roads, and every lead basically turned up empty.
Wow.
Private investigator John Swime died in 1979 of what is said to be a drug overdose. The death was ruled a suicide.
Yikes, that's fishy.
Quote unquote, at his request, all files, including records of this case, were destroyed.
What?
End quote. So, here's my thing. Before I go any further, I have red flags, obviously. Because he did kind of make the police look a little bad at this time, but also all of his other files were destroyed. I don't know if... I feel like this might be a normal practice because if you are a private investigator, you have all of this confidential information. And if you die, that confidential information is under your name, but technically anybody can go through it. Like anybody who enters your house or like if your body is taken away and you have like, I don't know, a family friend or something who's going through your shit, that's everybody's private investigations open. So I can see why this wouldn't be fishy. But to me,
the way
overdosing by suicide. Also, this is 1979 when I feel like a lot of people, quote unquote, committed suicide by drug overdosing. And nowadays we kind of see that sometimes drug overdosing isn't suicide. I mean, fentanyl, accidental, or somebody else, strings a little
planted
something in something. So 1979, he dies, and pretty much everything he had researched that wasn't out publicly, or a lot of things that the family didn't know, are now destroyed. So no one will really ever know what the fuck he had or where he was going by 1979.
Wow.
So in 1981, years after the girl's disappearance, a man said that he had been in the parking lot. I don't know why this man decided 7 years later to step forward. He was like, hey, I was in the parking lot the day that happened, and I saw a man forcing the girls into a van. The man in the van. So then this dude who stepped forward, he approached the dude driving the van, and he said, this is a family dispute, stay out of it. And the eyewitness accounts raised a mountain of questions, but none were answered. Right. So could this have been the girls? Possibly. Could this have literally been a van with an actual family dispute? Possibly. Right. Was this man even telling the truth? Possibly not. I don't fucking know. Nothing ever came of it. But again, this is another lead because it seems like once every few years something happens. Think about the families that are going through this. It's like emotionally, it's right. It's like, oh, this could be something that could lead somewhere, and then it's not. And it's like, you got to wait 2 more years until the littlest piece comes through. Right. So Rachel's younger brother, Rusty, she was 17 at the time. He was only 11 when his sister went missing, but he made it his life's mission to find her. So as the years went on, tensions grew after Rusty, the plot's about to thicken. Rusty hired a different private investigator, obviously, who questioned if Rusty and Rachel's other sister, Deborah, had anything to do with the sister's disappearance. Why? So according to Deborah, who was 19 when her 17-year-old sister disappeared, Deborah said she and Rachel had a special bond. When they were younger, they were both afraid of her father, who she says had a bad temper, that allegedly the other family members were like, yeah, he kind of did. But their father was also a sick man, and he actually ended up dying of cancer at the time of the disappearance, and he ended up dying that summer. But the sisters had even more in common. Before 1974, when they went missing, Rachel's husband, Tommy, had actually been engaged to Deborah.
Oh, fuck no.
And that's actually how Rachel met Tommy. At the time, Tommy was in his early 20s. Both of his parents had died, and he was a divorced father of a 2-year-old son.
What is happening?
He and Deborah ended up breaking off their engagement after he said he was more interested in her little sister.
What? Yikes.
So Tommy and Rachel get married, and they move in together for 6 months. After 6 months, Deborah is dating this other dude. Deborah gets in an argument with her boyfriend and ends up moving in with Rachel and Tommy.
What? This is so weird.
Right. And she stayed there with the newlyweds. Despite their history, both Tommy and Deborah insisted that the romance was over, and they were totally fine with being like in-laws, basically.
No.
On the morning that she disappeared, Rachel, like I said before, asked Deborah to join her. They were living together at this time at her and her husband's house. But Deborah decided to stay in bed instead of going shopping. The following morning, Deborah was actually with Tommy when he took the letter out of the mailbox. So Rusty was 11, Rachel was 17, and Deborah was 19. Rusty believes that Rachel is still alive and that Renee and Julie are dead. Following their disappearance, there were several reportings of 2 older girls that had been spotted at different locations. They're all listed here. I'm not going to list them. But this is when he met his private investigator. This man is named Dan James, and we are now in 1995.
Dan James, help.
Right. So that was 1974. We are now in 1995. So this Dan James dude had actually been following the case since it occurred. Rusty found his name in a random search of the Yellow Pages looking for a private investigator. Luckily, like I said, James already knew a lot about the case. And in December of that year, 1995, James announced a $25,000 reward to be paid out of his own pocket for the arrest and conviction of the person or persons responsible for the disappearance of the 3 girls. According to this private investigator, James, several quote-unquote credible witnesses said that they had spotted Rachel since the disappearance. Quote, one was in 1998 around Christmas, end quote. That's what he said.
Shocking.
Rusty and James believe that I don't know where they're getting this belief, but they believe that Rachel visits Fort Worth during Christmas every single year. Rusty also believes that, quote, someone close to one of the girls had something to do with the disappearance, end quote. So if you're not getting what I'm hinting at, Deborah is more candid, and she said, quote, I know he blames me. I know he thinks I had something to do with it. Rusty thinks this letter that Tommy got the next day, he thinks I wrote it. I didn't write this letter. I don't know who did. I don't know what happened to my sister. She said that I have nothing to hide. So,
I don't know.
Right. So in 2018, hi, how are you?
Yikes, that was like soon.
Recent.
Recent.
I can't. You said soon.
That was soon.
I love you. That was soon.
I'm so high.
I know. So that was soon.
That was soon.
This is not a laughing matter. So in 2018, 3 cars were found in a lake just miles from where the girls disappeared 44 years prior. The cars were searched, but again, there was a dead end with no evidence inside. So, I know.
Damn.
Rusty, Deborah, and their mother lived on the same South Side street, only a few doors apart, but were not much of a family anymore. After private investigator Dan James stepped into the picture, their relationship fell apart. Fran, who again was Rachel's mother, blames James, this private investigator, for, quote, poisoning Rusty's mind, end quote, and says her family has been destroyed. But Rachel's family was not the only one in pieces after the disappearance. 9-year-old Julie Ann Mosley's family fell apart too. For the next 2 decades, her mother, Rayanne Mosley, visited psychologists, psychiatrists, and ended up in a psych ward, and then another one. This is after her 9-year-old daughter goes missing. So during those years lost, her 2 other children, Terry, and they had another sister, Janet, they had to grow into adults really fast. Janet said she began selling beer and cigarettes at a store when she was 12 to make enough money to eat while her mom was in the hospitals. What? She dropped out of school and married early so she would have someone to take care of her. No. Terry said he worked as much as he could and took on as many jobs as he possibly could. Janet said, I don't recall our childhood. Terry remembers that he would buy food and he would have to lock it in his closet so he would have enough to eat because apparently his sister Janet would raid his stash. So it was like survival of the fittest for these kids whose mom was in a psych ward. Then there's Renee's mother, Judy Wilson, who continued to live with her husband in the house that they lived in when the girls vanished back in 1974.
Oh shit, she's going through it.
Right. So for a while, Judy was angry with God and turned her back on her religion. But she believes that all 3 of the girls are dead. To her, she thinks it's easier that way because a lot of people began saying that they were possibly either tortured or kind of kept as sex slaves or put into like the black market or something. She and her husband Richard ended up sheltering their other child Ricky from everything. And in her latest interview, 25 years after the girls went missing, Rayanne Mosley closed with the statement in regards to the girls. She said, quote, one thing's sure, somebody knows. Somebody knows for sure what happened. Mm-hmm. End quote. And to this day, there is no trace of Rachel Trillica, Renee Wilson, or Julie Ann Mosley. The case remains open, unsolved, and completely a mystery.
Like, what the actual fuck?
Right.
How could no one pick up any, like, slight evidence to figure out what happened?
Right. I mean,
it happens every day, but, like...
It would have been a lot easier if there were cameras in the mall back then, but there were not.
So crazy. I wonder what happened.
I wonder, too. And, I mean... Some people think that they met with a friend, the older girls, or maybe Rachel met with a friend. Maybe it was an older gentleman. They got into his van. Maybe they did drugs. Something went wrong. Maybe he kidnapped them. Another thing is they think maybe the 9-year-olds tried the drugs too. Maybe something went really bad and the girls were scared because they were like, what are we going to do if something went bad? If the little girl overdosed, if something I don't know. So they just kind of ran away and hid. I mean, I heard another theory. Well, I actually read it on Reddit. This is really fucked up, but I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense that 3 girls go missing. One of them was a young woman, 17. One of them was like just hit puberty, 14. And another one was prepubescent, 9-year-old. So there's kind of you know, I don't want to say one for everybody, but I don't, you know, you're picking. Yes, you're picking up what I'm putting down.
Yeah. So
at a mall where there's a bunch of people, I mean, nobody's really paying attention to who goes missing.
That's so devastating.
It is, and I don't know. And these families, you know, 2018, they were searching. I don't know how Rusty's relationship is with his sister, but you have to think, if Deborah didn't have anything to do with Rachel's disappearance, how awful to lose your sister.
And then think every day that, like, she's...
Right, but then have the town and people think that you have something to do with the disappearance later, and then have your whole family just fall apart from all of this. Like, shit hit the fan with this.
But even... the 9-year-old's mom.
Yeah, she went to psych wards and the kids had to take care of themselves.
And they
like
locked
Terry.
their food in their closets. That's crazy.
Yeah. From the
it like really tarnishes people and
really
like,
fucking does.
Them.
Literally shatters like you have the one point in the middle, which is the girls going missing, and it just crawls like, out to everything, and it's like devastating and it's awful. And it was Fran, Rachel's mom, who, even though, I mean, clearly the families ended up getting close with these 3 girls, so they knew each other very well. But every Christmas, she puts out stringed lights that are like statues of 3 angels in her front yard to remind the town that the girls are still missing and nobody knows what happened to them.
Damn.
Just so kind of keep
the memory
going.
Yeah.
I mean, that was in 1974. We are recording this currently in 2019, and there's literally not a single trace. Nothing.
Yikes.
So again, this is one of those cases that, like, dude, this I'd never heard of before, and I'm like, how many other fucking crazy shit? Like, it's a scary place out in here. The world.
It sure is. Like, there's no evidence tracing back, and like that's
just fucking be careful, y'all.
Honestly, get a taser, get your mace, do everything you need to do, because
it's fucking scary. Yeah. People zopping out here for real. So this was a little bit of a darker episode on Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Before we go, I just want to remind y'all, just do something nice for, you know,
everyone.
Do something nice for yourself, but do something nice that holds the door open for somebody. That's all you got to do. My brother paid for 2 men's meals the other day.
Where?
We were out and they wouldn't break the dude's $100 bill.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't have a card on them. So my brother just like paid for him and just was like, have a good day.
That's so nice.
I know, isn't it nice?
Chris.
So if you guys are looking to do something, if you are skilled at all in knitting, crocheting, in sewing, anything like that, my mom actually founded an organization, and it is called Circle of Love. They basically, they do a lot, but they knit, sew, and crochet like hats, blankets, and unfortunately angel wraps, which is kind of a more pleasant term than what they are for, but basically preemie babies and sick children in NICUs need these items, and hospitals sometimes, when the babies don't make it, the hospitals literally have nothing to give to the families, and it's, you know,
heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking, but I mean, it's crazy to see, because I've seen the work that they've been doing for years and the difference that they make in people. And I think what really struck me was last January, one of my really good friends, she had a baby who was a preemie, and it was scary. And I went to go visit her in the NICU, and I had never really been in one before. And I had to like scrub myself down before I got in there. And the babies, like some of them are in like incubators, and I'm like, holy shit, this is like
super fragile.
Yeah. It's like a nightmare, and it's so awful and devastating. Well, I was visiting, and there was a little stuffed octopus that they had her with in a little blanket. And I asked the nurse if she knew where they got them from, because it looked really familiar. Right. And she was like, yeah, we have this group of wonderful women who donate, and it ended up being my mom's charity.
Oh my God, I love that.
I kind of saw like firsthand how it helped out. And it is so fucking devastating how many people are in need of these types of things. Right. So if you guys are interested, you don't even have to be in the Philadelphia area, because my mom works with people. Yeah, she works with people who she's never met before, but it's like this great community. Go to circleoflovexo.org or circleoflovexo.com. It'll forward you to her website, and there's more information there. I'm not exactly sure what she's looking for at the moment. It kind of changes up frequently, but there are hospitals that request like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these things. Like she makes chemo caps for little kids and breast cancer survivors. She makes these like these pillows that it's incredible the work that they do, and it's and they're looking for help always. So that. Again, I don't know what my mom needs, but if you find yourself at home and you feel like, hey, I want to do something nice, where do I start? You can literally sit there and binge watch Netflix and just learn how to crochet, or if you know how to crochet,
hit her up.
Yeah, reach out to my lovely mother, circleoflovexo.org. So, I don't have a tweet of the week, but I do have a fun fact that I quickly scrambled and looked up.
I love that for you. I have a tweet of the week.
Okay, what is it?
My tweet of the week is, nobody, not a single soul, me. This is my cat, and it's Baby Yoda holding up a picture of a cat.
I can't.
Naturally.
Literally you. I love that. My fun fact is that Jingle Bells was written for Thanksgiving, not Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a whole description about it, but I don't feel like reading it. You know what? I'm going to read it because you deserve the content.
Thank you.
So it says, the song was written in 1857 by James Lord Pierpoint and was published under the title One Horse Open Sleigh. Oh. It was supposed to be played in the composer's Sunday school class during Thanksgiving as a way to commemorate the famed Medford sleigh races. Jingle Bells was also the first song to be broadcast from space.
Oh, I didn't know
that. They said we're going to spread that fucking cheer.
Okay.
No, that's the Jingle Bell Rock, you silly bitch.
Oh, shit.
Do you have a fun fact?
I do. My fun fact is Judge Judy is the highest paid host on TV.
Oh.
She made $147 million in 2018 by selling the rights to her long running courtroom show, Judge Judy.
Wow.
So that's it on Judge Judy. She's a famous rich bitch.
Maybe that's like, because I know Oprah's up there.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But also, is she still making shows?
Well, that was in 2018, so like...
That's weird. I would have thought Oprah would have...
like a while ago.
Well, yeah, because Oprah, but she has her, wow, I didn't know that. Judge Judy, I hope she has a great holiday.
Me too. I hope she's like a great person.
Me too. Baloney. She's the greatest, like, GIF users.
People always search, is Judge Judy a real judge? I can't.
That's true. Is she?
Is she? I don't know. No one knows.
She's
great.
Only Judy can judge me.
Right.
And with that being said, happy holidays, y'all.
Happy holidays. Have a great time.
Have a great time doing whatever you do. And see you later.
Bye.